morning, I'm Ellie Costello alongside Ben Leo, and this is Saturday Morning Live.
Very good morning to you, hope you're well and happy weekend. Great to have your company this morning, and we have an action-packed show in store for you. All of the day's top stories with today Alex Cairns and Candice Holdsworth.
We'll be heading to the US because Vice President Kamala Harris gave her first interview and not everyone was impressed. Nelson Aspin will share the latest from the presidential race with us.
And is Sir Keir Starmer right to clamp down on smoking in outdoor spaces, or does he need to butt out?
Now, if I was to say to you, what food reminds you of your childhood, what would you say, Ben Leo?
Curly Whirlies, Chumps, Freddos, Space Raiders, do you remember those?
Are they the crisps?
Yeah, 10p.
Yeah.
So basically, back in the day when I was a kid, for £1, I used to go down the shop, get a can of Coke, Chumps, Space Raiders, and maybe something else, all for maybe 90p.
OK, I would think spaghetti hoops.
Oh, yes.
I would think party rings.
Party rings, yeah.
Dib dabs. Dib dabs?
Yes, Dib dabs.
Yeah, and Freddos. I know they're still available, but Freddos always remind me of childhood.
We're talking about this because there's this new list out of nostalgic foods, and apparently they're making a resurgence. And funnily enough, beans on toast is on there as well, but I have beans on toast every other day.
It's the ultimate comfort food, isn't it?
Cheddar on top, grated.
Oh, and that's the best, isn't it? So do get in touch with your favourite childhood nostalgic food, gbnews.com/yoursay.
Yeah, but before we do anything else, Sam Francis has all your news headlines.
Very good morning to you. It's just after 10 o'clock, and the top story from the newsroom this morning. Well, Oasis fans hoping to snag tickets for next year's reunion tour are facing sky-high resale prices this morning. Tickets originally sold last night during early access are now being resold for up to £6,000. The band has issued a warning against the practice, urging fans to avoid those inflated prices. It comes as millions of fans, including most of the staff here in the newsroom, are scrambling this morning to secure their tickets, with the general sale now open. Police in the West Midlands say they are actively investigating the fatal stabbing of a 13-year-old boy. A murder inquiry has been launched following that tragic incident in Oldbury on Thursday, though no arrests have been made so far. West Midlands Force have assured the public that those responsible will, they say, be brought to justice as soon as possible. Chief Superintendent Kim Medill is urging residents in the area to come forward with any information.
And we are following active lines of inquiry to find the suspects. We know that the incident took place inside his home, and I would appeal to anyone who has information to come forward. We have local officers and youth workers in the area over the coming days, so please speak to them directly if you have any concerns or information that you would like to pass to us.
Travellers at Heathrow Airport are facing disruption today as Border Force staff go on strike. Around 650 members of the PCS union have walked out in protest over rota disputes, with that strike lasting for 4 days. Further disruptions expected from Wednesday as workers also refuse to do overtime, leading to an overtime ban from the 4th of September. Despite the escalating tensions, the Home Office have said it is committed to continuing the conversation to resolve that ongoing dispute. Labour is being accused of taking a hammer to public services, according to the SNP. Westminster's leader, Stephen Flynn, is speaking at the annual conference in Edinburgh later. He's expected to deliver his first speech since last month's election, where his party lost dozens of MPs. Flynn will accuse the government of inflicting austerity cuts and misery on the public. And he'll also position the SNP as the party offering hope in the face of challenges. News from the Middle East, and there is evidence today that Israel may be preparing for a long-term military presence in Gaza. That's after new satellite imagery has shown the creation of a corridor in the north of Gaza, where farmland, orchards and buildings appear to have been bulldozed. The move could grant the IDF more freedom of movement in the area, and analysts are suggesting it could be part of a broader long-term strategy for the region. Well, new research has revealed that Ozempic could do more than just fight obesity. It could also slow down ageing. In a study of over 17,000 people aged over 45, the anti-obesity drug semaglutide not only reduced the risk of death with those who have heart disease, but it also cut mortality rates from all causes. Experts say the breakthrough could have significant implications for treating obesity and extending healthy lifespans. And finally, could teacherless classrooms be the future of education? Well, a class of 20 GCSE students at one school in London are certainly hoping so. They're set to spend the year learning from AI, with bots that will personalise their lessons, identifying areas where students will need more support. But head teachers say that education shouldn't be taken out of educators' hands. David Game College says the trial, though, will be closely monitored to assess its impact on learning outcomes. Those are the latest headlines for now. I'll be back with you for your next update in just over an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Live. Thank you, Sam, for that news bulletin. I'll let you in on a little secret about Sam. He's always wearing shorts. It's very much work on top, party on the bottom. Do you want to show us, Sam? Are we able to share this with all of our viewers at home?
I think it's.
I cannot believe.
It's before the watershed.
Well, I might need to just. You can imagine.
Sam? No, anyway. He's wearing shorts
Sam,
under there.
I'm glad you're comfortable. Giving us a little flash of his leg there. Thanks, Sam. Now, we need to talk about the top story of the day. It's being described as a Ticketmaster bloodbath. Oasis tour tickets, of course, were released an hour ago, with an estimated 14 million people hoping to get their hands on some.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to net them around £400 million this tour. So Noel and Liam Gallagher announced their reunion on Tuesday, and that followed 15 years of feuding. And they've now warned fans against reselling pre-sale tickets, with some going up to £4,000 a pop.
Yeah.
Oasis...
I actually saw for a ticket where you get hospitality, £10,000
oh, my
this morning.
Goodness me.
Yep.
Look, I like Oasis. I'll put their tunes on.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I don't think I can be bothered to pay all that money, go to a gig, get a hotel, get the food.
No.
Some people, though, may say differently. Oasis tweeted about the reselling issue. We have noticed people attempting to sell tickets on the secondary market since the start of the pre-sale. Please note, tickets can only be resold at face value via Ticketmaster and Twickets. Twickets sold in breach of the terms and conditions, or tickets rather. So it is written as Twickets. Tickets sold in breach of the terms and conditions will be cancelled by the promoters.
Yes, so they're aware that this is going on. Let's speak now to music producer Nick Stewart. Nick, really good to see you this morning. It seems as though fans are absolutely scrambling for tickets this morning. This tour has taken the country by storm, hasn't it?
Good morning to you both. Well, look, you've got 17 shows in the UK and Ireland for Oasis. That's 1.4 million tickets, right? At the moment, it would seem that 14 million plus people are trying to buy those 1.4 million tickets. They originally did, for the real fans, a pre-sale on via their website. And you needed to sign up for that pre-sale on their website, answer a series of questions. Some of them were based on how well you knew the band and their music. Confirm who you were. You were then given a code to be used to get into the pre-sale. Then there was a ballot. So you got an email to say that you've been chosen to get into the pre-sale. Then you got the code. Then you're in the ballot. Then you got your tickets. But this is an excess of demand over supply, which happens when big acts put their tours on sale. People have been talking about Oasis getting back together for the last 10 years, and in serious terms, in the last 2 years. And I'm not surprised to hear that the demand is, at the moment, completely outweighing supply.
What's your thoughts on Oasis? Because I'll be honest, lots of our viewers commenting and emailing this morning are saying they're just a Beatles tribute band and their music is pretty mediocre. Is that a bit unfair?
Well, look, you can have a pop at any band you like or dislike. Oasis have a very, very strong fan base. They captured the zeitgeist at Britpop. People have said they ripped off, in particular, the vocal style of John Lennon, but they wrote some very indelible songs that have stood the test of time. And whether you and I like them is really immaterial, because there are literally millions of fans, some of whom live in America, who are trying to come over to see these concerts, or on the continent, they are one of the biggest UK bands of all time in that respect. And the demand for these concerts is proving that. I mean, Blur came back and did 2 nights at Wembley. There's none of this mad scramble for them. And they are one of the key bands of Britpop. Now, Oasis have proved how very popular they are. And personally, I won't be going, but, millions are trying to.
And Nick, sorry to be cynical, but I would be concerned if you're towards the latter end of the dates of these 17 dates on this tour. I'd be a little bit worried that perhaps this truce doesn't hold between the two brothers. Perhaps they won't get through to those latter dates. What do you think?
Well, I suspect the promise of untold riches, if you understand me, will probably keep them going. They have, they've signed up, they've contracted to do 17 shows. If after 3 they're having a bust up, it would be, it would just be catastrophic. So I suspect they'll, I suspect they'll make it work.
Yeah, but of course, Noel Gallagher's got a pretty pricey divorce to cough up for as well, £20 million. So I think the tour may help with that a little bit. Nick, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Nick, thank you very much. I think if you're a fan, this is your moment.
There's evidently fans. The tickets are going wild. I know viewers at home aren't fans of them. Fine, I hear you, but I think it's still a pretty big story.
If you are a fan and you have managed to nab a ticket today, do let us know. Or if you're still in the queue, let us know, because there will be some of you out there. 14 million of you, so I'm sure some GB News viewers. Yeah, I
wouldn't mind going. I just can't be bothered to pay for it, can't be bothered to travel there.
If you got it gifted, you'd be...
I'd go.
I'll go. Yeah, same as me. Yeah. So if you want to do that as well, feel free. Now, should we look through the top stories of today? We're delighted to be joined by our panel, Alex Cairns and Candice Holdsworth. So good to see you both this morning.
Morning to you both.
Morning.
Alex, you've just got back from holiday, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I spent a week in Italy. It was very nice.
Lake Como?
Lake Como, yeah.
OK, all right. So the big revelation this morning is Alex had a bit of trouble in Lake Como. What happened? Do you mind sharing the story with us?
Yeah, sure. So I was, me and my friends rented a boat for a couple of hours. We went out into the lake, having a good time. I thought it'd be a good idea to jump in the water. So a few of my friends followed suit. I swam away from the boat and then was about 30, 40 metres away from the boat and just realised I was getting quite tired and started to panic. I was like, in my mind, I was like, I can't get back. What am I going to do? And in that moment, I just started to lose my breathing and just was going underwater. And luckily, I kind of got my mate's attention, who got the guy that was driving the boat's attention, who kind of through a rubber raft thing. And then luckily, I found some energy because it didn't even come close to me. I still had to swim to it. Wow. I was quite far away from the boat. But it was quite scary because I think in the space of 20, 30 seconds, I just found myself not being able to float, breathe, do anything, Oh,
yeah, we saw your tweets on Twitter with the video and it looks terrifying. Are you a decent swimmer?
I'm a decent swimmer, yeah, and that's what was scary. I think, I was jokingly saying to my friends, I was like, should we jump in because we need to all make sure that we're going to be all right? Still is a deep lake. There's still lots of boats that go around. It was a sunny day. I thought we have to. And it was really nice. But the only thing that concerned me is I'm a good swimmer. But the moment I realised I was really tired and couldn't get back to the boat, I just started to panic. And that's the worst thing you can do in that situation. I know that everyone says, try and be relaxed, just try and flow. In that moment, your fight or flight kind of instincts kick in, and I just thought to myself, gosh, what am I going to do here? Because, there was loud music on the boat. I couldn't get my mate's attention to start with, and every second when you can't feel like you can swim, it's just terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Goodness me. Well, look, I'm glad you're with us today.
Yes.
So am I. I'm glad I'm here, yeah.
And a warning, I guess, that, to any people swimming in not just open water, but any, swimming pools or whatever, just try and relax if you can. I think the RNLI say the best thing you can do if you're in water,
lay back
and float and try and compose your breathing. Because as you said, the moment you start panicking, your breathing's shorter, you're expending energy. But yeah, it sounds terrifying. Thank you for sharing that
Glad you're okay.
story with us.
Thanks, guys.
Sharing that with us. Look, we've been talking about the outdoor smoking ban, or plans at least, to ban outdoor smoking this week. It seems ministers might want to go a step further, Alex. The government wants to create a society in which there is no smoking, says The Times.
Yes, so the government have been deciding this week whether they should go a little bit further. You know, there's been a lot of talk over the last few years, and Rishi Sunak was quite keen to kind of ban smoking for certain age groups. And they want to get to a point where we can create a society in which there is no smoking as it pushes ahead with plans to ban cigarettes in beer gardens. Now, there's been a lot of controversy about this. You know, I actually posted online, you know, not surprisingly, a lot of people disagreed with me, but a lot of people actually agreed with me. And I'm someone that actually doesn't like smoking, never smoked myself. You know, unfortunately, I lost grandparents to smoking. A lot of people in family actually know people that have died from lung cancer or had some sort of cancer history in their family. And actually, you know, some of my friends smoke, and even they would admit it's a dirty habit. And why should I, or anyone that doesn't smoke, in a beer garden, sometimes they're not massive places, have to sit near someone, and you become a passive smoker. People forget that, you know. They compare it, oh, but what about banning drinking? What about banning everything? We're going to become a nanny state.
Alex, couldn't you just go inside? Because smokers, arguably, have already been kicked out of indoors, you know, venues and pubs and so on in recent years. So the gardens outside is the only sort of refuge they've got. Can't you just go inside?
Well, yeah, but couldn't they just not smoke? I mean, the argument here, right, is why should I, that don't smoke, you know, the smoke comes, it might come your way. And I've seen so many arguments in beer gardens where people say, oh, can you move? And they're like, no, and it becomes an issue. Yeah. And people cannot compare it to drinking, right? Saying that drinking also causes lots of harm for people. No, because if I drink, it won't have an issue. If someone's not drinking next to me, you know, my wine is not going to somehow end up in their mouth, you know. Whereas if I smoke and they don't, I'm going to inhale the fumes. I'll become a passive smoker. It's completely different, you know.
Candice, do you like a cheeky cigarette? Are you a smoker?
I don't. So I have a similar story. I had a very close family member who died from emphysema caused by smoking. And the way he suffered at the end of his life, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I would advise anyone, don't smoke. But I do have libertarian leanings philosophically. So for me, I will always prioritise personal freedom. So I would say give people the information, like I will give them the information. It's really bad for you, don't start. But I think ultimately it's up to them to make that decision, not the government. And I think smoking is on the way out anyway. You know, younger people aren't picking up smoking. I mean, you might see headlines saying smoking is back because this celebrity has started smoking. But actually, fewer and fewer people are smoking now. And that's because I think people understand it's bad for your health. So I am not sure why the government feels it needs to force the issue, because I think society is going that way anyway. And temperamentally, I'm just generally not someone who likes coercive measures.
Do you think that this ban would include vaping? Because talking about young people, I mean, it's vaping.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's not smoking. They're all vaping. Yeah. And by the way, they're very cheap. They're really easy to get. And when you have a vape, the smoke, it still goes towards you. It's a different type of substance, but it's exactly the same problem.
Yeah, it's different though. I mean, it's water vapour. So, I mean, scientifically, it's not the exact same stuff that you get from smoke.
Smells better, at least, than cigarettes.
It's not safe. I was listening to a scientist the other day saying that vaping is not safe, but it's much, much safer for you than cigarettes would be.
Yes.
So
also, it's a bit of a weird move politically for the government to be tackling right now. It's kind of, you know, as you said, smoking's going down the pan anyway. Not very many people are taking it up anymore. And it just seems a bit of a bizarre move politically to start attacking...
Well, they're quoting excess deaths on the NHS, aren't they? So they're quoting this 88,000 people that die every year because of smoke-related diseases.
It's all
so
this stuff.
Are linking the two together. But the thing that is very interesting is that you are not banning people from smoking so far.
No, yeah.
The Times this morning. But you are banning people from smoking in pub gardens. So this is actually going to impact the hospitality sector, isn't it? More than the health sector.
And that's what a lot of people are saying as well. I don't know, I think you're right. I think a lot of it's now looking at population-level health. So, I mean, there was also a story this week saying people may be weighed at work to see if they're obese because they want to...
That's my worst nightmare.
Yes, exactly. I think it's everyone's worst nightmare. But I think this is what they're going for now. It's less sort of giving people the information to make their own decisions, and they're actually saying, no, we're going to sort of nudge you in the right direction using the measures we have because we want to take strain off the public health service.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that actually is the key point. They're trying to they have a preventative strategy with this, right? Because what we're saying is too many people end up in hospital and they don't want a situation where they have to build lots of new hospitals. There isn't the funding. As we know, with infrastructure projects in this country, it's always over budget. It takes a long time. So actually, they're trying to step in and trying to make people more health conscious so that we don't have a situation where we're trying to build lots more hospitals and actually thinking about how can we make society a more healthy place. And that involves trying to discourage people from going out for a drink and smoking in a beer garden.
Yeah, well, they should be focusing on obesity first. I mean, that's the bigger issue.
Obesity is a big killer, isn't it? It certainly is. Can we talk about Ibiza for a moment?
Yes.
Because somebody has been in Ibiza, haven't they?
Yes, was it last week?
Yeah,
only for 3 nights. Yeah, the wife and I went to Ibiza for a very quick getaway. No kids. Felt very guilty about leaving the kids, and we video called them on the first day, and they couldn't care less.
But you had a lovely time, didn't you?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Did you happen to stumble across Angela Rayner? Any other clubs out there?
No, but of course she has been this now infamous video.
Yes.
Don't know if we've got it, but yeah, she was. She's doing raving with.
It's just one finger up from Angela Rayner.
Yeah.
In the DJ booth.
She's 10 years. She's 10 years older than me. I'm 35. Here's the video.
Here it is. There you go. I'm telling you, it's just the one move. It seems.
Do you know what? I'm 35 now. I couldn't think of anything worse than going to Ibiza and going out to a club. I simply cannot be bothered. So, I mean, fair play for having the energy, Ange, but not for me.
Does this bother you, seeing a politician?
Well, the problem with that was it was the day after Keir Starmer's doom-laden speech about how Britain's going to get worse. Obviously, days after they've ripped the winter fuel allowance for pensioners and saying that, you know, everyone's going to be skint come October. So it's a little bit tone-deaf. But what do you think, Alex?
I'm not sure I'm going to agree with you. I actually think, you know, most normal people go on a holiday, have a drink with their friends, have a little groove to whatever she's... I don't know what the song is, by the way. I'd be quite curious to know what the song is. But, you know, she's a human like anyone. And actually, it's good to see politicians being quite relatable. They, you know, they're really stiff. Then they're trying to act like they're not normal and they don't have a normal life. We all know they do have normal lives. They just try and act like they don't. And actually, I think a lot of people can relate to Angela going on holiday. You know, a lot of people like Ibiza. A lot of my friends like Ibiza. I think maybe it will help the hospitality sector in Ibiza, seeing the Deputy Prime Minister in a club. Who knows, right?
I did a season there as a kid. The only problem with this situation is, right, the Daily Mirror in 2022 did a story on Michael Gove doing the exact same thing. The headline was, sacked Tory Minister Michael Gove raves it up in Ibiza as millions face bills crisis. So the Daily Mirror at that time said, no, not very good politician, but now it's Angela Rayner. It's like, oh, look at Angela being a normal person.
Yes, exactly. Everyone said Michael Gove was being pathetic. Look at him, he's cringe, but now it's cool to do it. I must say, I feel very conflicted watching her because I think she's quite young, you know, she's having fun and they should be able to do it. But there's a part of me, and this is just my instinct, you expect a little bit more gravitas from us, our senior politicians. And I don't know where that comes from.
I think so.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
So she's not allowed to go out and have a good time and, like, what do you expect her to do then?
But I've told you, I feel conflicted about it. I feel conflicted about it. I don't feel one way. It's not absolutist. But I just think when you look at them, when you look at the Deputy Prime Minister and you sort of see her doing that...
men and women? And
it was the same with Michael Gove. I felt the same with Michael Gove. I was just like, oh, what's he doing, you know?
I know what you mean. It's the double standards, isn't it? I mean, I think that all politicians should be able to let their hair down, have a normal life, enjoy themselves. I think their job is hard enough, to be honest with you. But the rules should apply to everybody. Everybody should be allowed to have a day off and enjoy themselves.
Is that your scene? Sort of 5 shots for €5 down the strip in Ibiza?
No, not really. Why, is it yours?
No, it used to be when I was 18.
Yeah, 18. No. Anyway, should we just have a quick look at this one in the Daily Mirror? This is about Ozempic, which we're hearing lots about at the moment. But this is a new benefit, Candice. It could slow the signs of ageing.
So it's so interesting. We're learning a lot more about semaglutide, which is the key ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy. And at first, scientists thought it just acted on the gut, so it made you feel full so you didn't eat more. But there's been so much research now, and they're finding that it can slow down ageing. It actually works on the brain, so it's been curing people of their addictions. So people have been on Ozempic and have suddenly found they don't drink alcohol anymore.
Wow.
Which is fascinating. I think we're learning a lot more about the gut-brain connection, that the two are very, very related, and there's a lot we don't know about it.
Interesting. Alex, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, anything that will stop ageing, I think people will be very, very in favour, you know. The interesting thing about this is I think people, because of social media, this is probably the negative side of social media, I think people become very conscious of their look, you know, they get very worried about, are they ageing? You know, lots of people probably from a younger age start to, you know, put makeup on, or a lot of guys feel like they have to, you know, go gym all the time. So I think we need to have a balance where people don't feel that they have to look a certain way, and any, like, grey hair, they have to, like, dye their hair, you know, or any, like, wrinkles, they have to do something. I think there needs to be some balance here, because I do know personally people that get very like conscious looking in the mirror every morning, like, oh my gosh, I'm aging, you know?
Yes, yes.
It's a natural thing. People do age. You
And
know?
there's that billionaire who made headlines by taking, I think it was blood platelets from his son.
Yes,
Yeah.
Brian something.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've seen that.
And it's
yeah.
vampiric. I mean, you sort of think, OK, at
That's
some
too
point...
much, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
going to age, and you have to age gracefully. And,
Yeah.
and we're sort of taking that away from the young a little bit.
100%. Yeah.
I don't know, I quite like that guy.
Of course you do.
Already tapping up my kids for Ben will be in the trial.
Alex and Candice, good to see you both. See you in an hour's time.
We've had some very quick emails about childhood nostalgic favourites. Lisa, you say space dust that crackles on your tongue. Good shout. And Dec, you said, as a kid, does anyone remember Britvic orange juice and 10p bags of sweets while down the pub with your parents?
10p bags of sweets, yes.
Yes.
On a Friday after school.
Yes.
Oh.
And John, you
Right back.
said palm toffee banana split, coconut tobacco. What's that? Coconut tobacco.
Oh, frozen orange jubbly. Yes, the lollies in the freezer.
Keep
It's all
them
coming back
coming.
to us now. Yeah, keep them coming in. GBNews.com/you'll-say.
OK, right, coming up, we briefly touched on it, didn't we? It's a Keir Starmer right to clamp down on smoking in outdoor spaces. We'll be joined by a publican to have the latest on that. But next, we'll be joined by Oriona Robb, who'll share her remarkable rags to riches story with us about fashion and style, and maybe I can get some fashion
All the things
tips.
you want to learn about Ben.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's after this.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Susie, let's start with you, and you will say that being a mum is the equivalent of a second full-time job.
Yeah, I mean, I think any mum would say that. But, you know, it's a massive privilege to be a mother. It's a massive privilege to, to have children. But it's an incredible amount of work. Most people would argue that you are, it's a privilege and you don't do it for this, but actually you are contributing to the economy because you're also producing the future people that are going to go into work.
If men were doing the lion's share of the childcare as well, everyone would know about it, but women don't shout about it. They put up and get on with it. But times are changing, aren't they, Reem? And I think, there's nobody here suggesting that women need special favours, but they need to have certain understanding within the workplace. There's arguments, isn't there, for Pregnant Then Screwed, who's campaigning 100% for meritocracy, but they want to see things like flexible working so that women can work around childcare responsibilities, and they want to be able to make sure that women aren't squeezed out of the labour market because they simply can't juggle both things.
Absolutely. I mean, look, being a mother is one of the most incredible things that any woman can do. And I think it's wonderful that so many women are able to work and have children. I think it's wonderful. I think we should have the utmost respect for every single woman that is able to balance and juggle all of that. However, I think we need to be having these conversations about how best employers can cater towards different people's needs. We want to be encouraging parents to be working as well as having children and contributing to the economy. But it is incredibly unfair if we begin to give those particular people preferential treatment in the workplace. And I think that some of their childless colleagues will begin to resent them.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back, 10:28, Ben and Ellie with you on Saturday Morning Live, only on GB News. Now, how can you present yourself with great influence and, of course, influence the way people react to you? It also extends, the key factor for this is what we wear, apparently, on a daily basis.
Yes, it's all about how we present ourselves, isn't it, to the world? Well, we're joined now by Oriana Robb, a leading London personal stylist who, for the past decade, has helped people discover and showcase their unique style, ensuring that they make a strong first impression from the very beginning. Oriana, really good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Should we start with first impressions? Because it is about what you look like, what you wear. When I first saw you this morning, I thought, wow, beautiful.
Thank you.
You looked so lovely. It does make an impact, doesn't it?
Yes. I'm very happy to be here. Yes, we spent about... We're all very visual. So 70% of population will make a judgment on someone just by looking at them. And within 2-3 seconds, we make a decision if we like someone or not.
Really? Is it that quick?
So it's actually very, very fast. So before we have a chance to kind of express what we want to say, our subconscious mind is kind of looking for clues to assess our kind of status. So you look at someone and you look at their, for example, I don't know, the watch they're wearing, maybe the makeup that they've kind of put on, maybe it's, I don't know, shirt that wasn't ironed properly, and you think, oh, they haven't kind of had time to iron the shirt. So we're looking for clues. This is how we are wired. So it's very important that we do plan and think about how we want other people to perceive us.
So you're now a pretty key player in the London fashion game and the style game. What's your story? You're Polish, right?
I'm Polish, yes.
How did you get started?
So my personal story began in the vibrant street of Poland. My mum owned a denim shop, and I spent literally my whole childhood learning, being absolutely mesmerised by my mum's ability to choose different style of clothing for different style personalities. And this is where I just thought I really loved that. That's what I played makeovers on my friends. I was learning about my own style. But when I moved to the UK in about 1997, I was a little bit it was a bit of a cultural clash. I had to, so the style in Poland was slightly different to the style here.
Are you saying we're scruffy, us Brits?
How do you find British fashion? How would you describe that?
Well, I think British definitely take a pride in their appearance. They do spend time to look good. There is a lot of amazing British designers that I work with and that I absolutely admire. But it was a journey. It wasn't just like this. But I've realized that personal style, so for me, was always about that feeling that I've learned from my mom's shop, how the people were living, buying certain things. And I was like, oh my God, they look happy. They've got this big smile on their face. So I felt that I wanted to do the same. I wanted to make people feel good and confident. And that's how my journey was unfolding. So I was doing a bit of makeup artistry. Then I opened a restaurant. And my main objective always was to make people feel good. So now as a stylist, I help them to go through style therapy. So what we do, we try to find language that is associated with what we wear. I help them to discover colours that are good for their colours that they wear them close to their face, but also it sets the tone for their wardrobe. And then we look at the outfit formula. So it's the whole. So it's what's happening here in your head, what's happening in your heart, and how you are able to express this through your clothes.
OK, come on, first impressions of Ellie and her style.
Ellie.
What about you?
So I find I like to use 3 words that I tell my clients to kind of think about how would you like other people to describe you when you're not in the room. OK? So when I look at Ellie's dress sense, I was just thinking, OK, she likes to be polished.
I do like to be polished.
Exactly. So polished or kind of done, not undone, not a kind of like, no, it needs to be like really elegant. Elegant, timeless. Look at the reference to the dress you're wearing today. It's that kind of Chanel, black and white, timeless, never go out of fashion. So for me, it's not the trends, but how you would like your personal style to be and how timeless it can be.
Arianna, do you want to come back every week?
Every week, yes.
You can stay here if you're calling me timeless and elegant. But it's interesting you say that, because about a year ago I tried to make a conscious effort not to buy into trends and fashion anymore.
Do your own thing.
So I'm just trying to buy what suits me, buy classic pieces, maybe spend that little bit more, but buy fewer.
Yeah.
And just keep them in the wardrobe for years and years and years. That's my plan.
That's a great plan.
Thank you.
Because I feel like we should definitely look at the trends, because the trends can kind of set the tone where you want to go. So look at Pinterest, look at Instagram, and really narrow down what you like and what you dislike. And think about the words that I've just mentioned. So timeless and elegant. So if it's something that you see on someone, but it looks good on them, it might not necessarily look good on you. So you always have to stay true to who you are.
I like that. That's good advice. Come on then. What do you make of this one here?
Right, scruff.
No, absolutely not scruff. I really love that kind of a linen avant-garde look. So I was just thinking the first thought that came into my mind was avant-garde.
What is avant-garde?
Avant-garde is that slightly undone, like you're not trying really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, like instead of polish, so it kind of looks a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more kind of natural, I don't know, in a way, because you're wearing navy and stone. There you are. Yeah. Earthy.
I'm very
earthy
grounded.
and avant-garde. Grounded, there you are. Grounded, avant-garde, earthy.
Have you got any sort of general tips for men who, I mean, like me, I'm not mega into fashion.
I think men find it hard, actually, in terms of first impressions, especially in a professional setting. And I know a lot of men that really struggle with knowing how to...
I can't be bothered half the time. When I'm not at work, I mean, last week I threw out, or the week before, I threw out half my wardrobe. I just want 7 T-shirts, a couple of pairs of trousers, and just play it simple. But have you got any general tips for men who don't really want to push the boat out and go down, you know, sort of the whole fashion route, but do want to maybe just improve their look just a little bit?
Well, the first thing I would definitely say, look into your wardrobe. Have a look what you've got and get rid of everything that doesn't serve you anymore, or it's been kind of done and you probably won't be wearing anymore. Yeah. And then, as you've mentioned, invest in the best quality that you can afford. Because when you wear something a little bit more tailored, so look, even your shirt today, the way you kind of put the sleeves out, it's a kind of, it's this unspoken language that when someone sits and kind of observing your body language, this is, you know, the buttons are slightly different colors, so you've got a little bit of kind of different look to what normal kind of very well ironed shirt would give you.
Yeah, OK. Got
so
it.
I would definitely capsule wardrobe for men. Just think about it, plan ahead, plan ahead. David Beckham organised his wardrobe 1 week in advance. We can do that. That's definitely,
really?
yeah.
Oh.
We're almost run out of time with you, but I have just got a really interesting comment. We'd like your views on this one. Jill, morning to you, Jill, says, I think we've become a very scruffy, very slobby nation. Do you think we have going for our tracksuits and our comfies over making an effort?
Well, definitely, since COVID, everything has kind of changed a little bit, and people don't want to, you know, the even normal corporate look is a little bit confusing. Lots of people don't know how to express that. I think there is definitely room for improvement. I think we can definitely, even when we're doing a casual look, loungewear, if we are wearing, I don't know, trainers, just make sure that they're a little bit more polished, they're a bit more cleaner, and every day we have a chance to show up to the world, and if we do it well, it can really give you competitive advantage, both in personal and professional level.
No, I'd agree with
Great, good tips. It's hard, though, sometimes as a dad with a newborn because, well, 18 months, Zach is, but I'm constantly getting snot and slobber on me. And my father-in-law, hi, Steve, he comes round and says, my wife will laugh at this, he says, Ben, you've got a bit of a stain on your thing. I was like, yeah, I know, thank you.
Oh, you're juggling it all, aren't you, Ben?
Yeah.
Thank you, Arianna. Really
my pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So much.
Thank you so much.
As well. Let us know what you think about that one. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Coming up, we'll be meeting pub landlord Simon Delaney, who, despite not being a smoker himself, isn't a fan of the government smoking ban in pub back gardens.
But next, we'll get the latest from the US presidential race with our favourite, Nelson Aspen. We'll be back in 3.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend Set fare for the majority. Certainly today, most places going to be dry with sunny spells. A bit chilly out there this morning, and we will see the breeze picking up across the south, where also there will be quite a bit of cloud, certainly by this afternoon. There's a little bit of mist and fog around first thing, but that is clearing away, and then we'll see sunny spells for the vast majority. But in the south, we do need to keep our eyes on the skies because there is the potential for 1 or 2 showers to come drifting in later on, particularly across parts of the southwest. There is that breeze as well. Temperatures into the low 20s, but feeling cooler. Further north, the winds are lighter. Temperatures in the high teens or low 20s. So similar feeling day to yesterday. Now, in the south and particularly the southwest, there is going to be more cloud this afternoon and the possibility of 1 or 2 scattered showers moving by, even the potential for 1 or 2 heavy ones. But I suspect most places will stay dry, and certainly across North Wales, Northern England, Northern Ireland and the majority across Scotland. It's a good-looking day for the last day of August. Plenty of fine, bright weather, lots of sunny spells and temperatures getting up into the high teens. It will turn quite cool again, certainly across Scotland through the course of this evening. Further south, warmer and more humid air is arriving, which increases the cloudiness and increases the chance of seeing some heavy and thundery showers drifting up from France as we go through the night, but also during the course of tomorrow. And it does make for a warmer night across the south after a couple of cool ones, temperatures holding up in the mid-teens, but it will still again get down to single figures across northern Scotland. So tomorrow's a bit of a messy one. Generally for England and Wales there will be more cloud, but still plenty of hazy sunshine. The potential for some heavy showers at first over northern England, eastern parts of England and southern England in particular at risk for some heavy and thundery downpours, but they will be hit and miss. Many places won't see them and have another fine day. And generally through the weekend turning warmer and more humid.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
10:41, Ben and Ellie with you on Saturday Morning Live. Now, over to the US presidential race, where Donald Trump has been accused of a U-turn after saying he will vote to keep a 6-week abortion ban in Florida less than 24 hours after saying it was too short.
And pop legends ABBA are demanding Trump's presidential campaign remove videos featuring their songs.
Not another one. Well, to tell us more, we're delighted to be joined again this week by journalist and author Nelson Aspen. Good morning, Nelson, from stateside. First of all, what's this ABBA situation? We saw it with the Foo Fighters, I think. Was it Beyonce as well who complained in previous weeks? Can't quite remember.
Everybody gets very nervous and politically correct when their music is used, regardless of whether or not they're making money from it. And I think ABBA, it's kind of rich when you consider how much money they're making now off their virtual concerts. Where would we be without Dancing Queen? And not that that's a song I think Donald Trump would want playing at one of his rallies. But everybody's sort of trying to drift into the center now, both candidates, because they're wooing and courting the undecided middle. So that's why we've been seeing lots of drifting to the center from both candidates.
The abortion issue is quite imperative to that, kind of central to keeping things central, if you like, Nelson. And Donald Trump's in a bit of a sticky situation with this one, isn't he?
Absolutely. And he's known, actually, before he was a presidential candidate, when he was a New York City businessman. New York City here is a very liberal place. He was not perceived as an extremely right candidate. So I think naturally he's more of a centrist. But over the MAGA years, he's become known more for his right of center views. And certainly with Kamala Harris, her big speech this week, we've always considered her as rather extreme and to the left by political standards, but she has drifted much to the center. And the takeaways from her speech this week, which were rather short on substance as well as style, was the fact that she kept saying her values have not changed. And a lot of her detractors are seizing on that as some kind of dog whistle that she's trying to say, look, I'm still a lot more left than you think I am. But that will remain to be seen. She's right now flip-flopping on a lot of the issues that when she initially ran for president back before she became a vice president, she was very extreme in her views. And she wants us to know, wink, wink, her values have not changed.
And Nelson, she finally gave an interview to CNN, of course, where it was described as a car crash, to say the least. She was saying, look, it's time for the winds of change. We need change in this country. And I was sitting there watching and thinking, hang on a minute, lady, you've been vice president for the past 4 years. What do you mean change? You've been ahead of the government, pretty much.
She is certainly not the candidate of change, although we did enjoy the Democratic National Convention. That was full of glitz, it was full of excitement, it was full of fire, unlike that interview. And when she talks about change, you have to remember not only has she been the vice president for 3.5, nearly 4 years, but before that, she was a senator from California, she was a district attorney, she was the attorney general. She has over 2 decades of government experience. So it isn't change, although in many ways, the world is getting to know her for the first time.
Now, Nelson, you know that we love talking to you every single week and you making sense of the US presidential race for us. You have a new book coming out, don't you? So tell us a bit more about that.
It is out now. It's called Dancing Between the Raindrops, The Hollywood Years. And what's interesting about this book, it charts my 30 years in breakfast television from the time I moved to Los Angeles in 1990. And yes, of course, there were plenty of celebrities and glitz and glamour, but it really did affect the way I learned to report stories, beginning with the LA riots, earthquakes, you know, the Northridge earthquake. And then I was closely involved with the O.J. Simpson double murder trial. So that was a big part of my reporting. The deaths of Michael Jackson and Heath Ledger, and most notably, considering the fact that it's on this day in history, the death of Princess Diana. And covering that for the Hollywood beat was a unique experience, especially the fact that it was Princess Diana who gave me my start in broadcast television back in the 90s when I was a struggling aerobics instructor, and she had an interest in step aerobics. They brought me to London to train in step aerobics for the princess's trainer. So it's a full circle moment, and here we sit. I'm honored to be with you.
That sounds like a whole different conversation we could speak about for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Nelson Aspin, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Nelson, just before we let you go, if people do want to get a hand on your book, where can we find it?
You can find it on Amazon, and if it's not at your bookstore, you must demand it. Dancing Between the Raindrops, The Hollywood Years.
All right, Nelson, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Sounds like a cracking story, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Diana to teach aerobics.
Wow, what a story. Man full of stories, that one.
Anyway, we'll be joined by a pub landlord next who isn't best pleased with the government's plans to ban smoking outdoors. Back in a tick.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Recently, the cartoons that inspired the Bond films have been gifted to the Oscars archive. I'm joined now by John's son, Sean McCluskey. Very good to see you. Welcome to GB News.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any memory of your dad doing these strip cartoons?
Well, many memories. Yeah, we grew up with my father working at a pace. He had to turn in one strip every day, apart from Sundays. So he was always working at the house, and always taking reference material. He had models dropping in to shoot them with his camera. You go out in the garden and there'd be a guy with a machine gun and he'd be taking photos of him, things like that. Nice memories.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
What would you say about the way he characterised James Bond?
Fleming was very wary that his highbrow art was going to be somehow diminished by turning it into a strip cartoon in a newspaper. But he met with Fleming, and Fleming had a drawing made of what he wanted Bond to look like, and it was very old-fashioned, very sort of military. And my father kind of, you know, jostled a little bit and came through with a much younger, much more lithe character. And through the first few strips, he moved Bond into a contemporary man, very much part of the 60s, and styled him in that way. And I think there's a lot of rumour that Sean Connery got the gig because he looked a lot like the drawings, because it's hard to believe now, but the strip was billboard advertised across the country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Neil Oliver, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on GB News. And if an hour is not nearly enough for you, go to gbnews.com for special extended episodes online every Friday at 9 p.m, where we can truly get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Live. Now, this has become one of the biggest stories of the week, hasn't it? It's the outdoor smoking ban, or plans at least, to ban smoking outdoors. Pub bosses have hit out at Sir Keir Starmer's plan to look at extending the indoor smoking ban to outdoor spaces, saying it could destabilise an industry already under immense pressure.
Seems a bit of a weird political move to me. But anyway, the Prime Minister has confirmed Labour is looking in to extend the indoor smoking ban, brought in under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, of course, to try and ease the pressure on the NHS. So we're joined now by pub landlord Simon Delaney. Good morning, Simon. OK, let's get straight...
Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Alec.
Good morning. What do you make of this? It's a lot of landlords and your colleagues are saying it's a load of nonsense, and beyond that, it's really going to hit you quite hard financially.
Well, you just said it. It's a very weird thing that he's even brought it up, to be honest, because I don't even think it's actually an issue. If it were to go ahead, what is he after achieving? We're already an industry that is struggling massively, you know, because of all other reasons. And, you know, the previous government showed little interest and little help for our industry after COVID. And it looks like that these are going to do the same as well. I can understand the ban in certain areas, you know, like... People choose to come to a pub or choose not to. We're business owners and we do what we think is best for making this business viable. So I just picking on pubs, it would just be another nail in the coffin.
Your beer garden behind you looks absolutely fabulous. Big floral wall you've got behind you and the heaters, and you're really well set up for lots of people outside in your beer garden. Just give us a sense of how many people are actually standing outside with a fag in their hand and a pint. Is that what you see a lot of, or are we seeing that more people are vaping now?
Well, yeah, vaping is the one. But I think people, since the smoking ban, we've all sort of changed the smokers. First of all, I'm a non-smoker, so I'm not standing up for the smokers out there. I'm a non-smoker, and I agree with what, in hindsight now, with what happened in 2007 with the ban. Yes, loads of pubs closed, but when we look back now and we think, wow, this is such a better business, a better environment inside, and, you know, everyone's healthier, you could say. So people tend to socially understand that if you're going to have a cigarette, you get up and go and stand away. And we've got a huge space out here. And since, you know, we invested massively in 2007 to our outside areas, and it's not a problem. I can't remember once sitting out here and having food, having drinks and thinking, oh, I wish they'd go away with that smoke. It doesn't happen, and that's the weird thing about it. I don't think there's a problem. 70% of the population used to smoke. Now is it 10, 15%? I know it's still 6 million people, but I think if they ban it, it's not going to take away. The smokers will carry on carry on smoking.
Simon, very briefly, because we're running out of time, but do you think, as some people have suggested, there's kind of, you know, maybe an unspoken agenda to kind of get rid of pubs, I guess, and get rid of everything that's great about Britain and the heritage? Is that just a load of conspiratorial nonsense, or what do you reckon?
Well, it looks like that way, doesn't it? You know, the previous government were exactly the same. Everything they do seems to they don't understand the value of the Great British Pub. You know, and if they understand that, they will do everything they can to keep pubs like this, the centre of the community, open.
And what do you fear would happen to your pub if this plan actually comes into force?
It would affect us financially, but we would lose customers. We would lose customers. How do we police it if somebody's outside smoking? You know, have we got to stand outside? Have we got to keep going out? We would lose customers because, say, Frank, who's been a smoker all his life, addicted to smoking, he's going to carry on smoking at home. He's not going to stop smoking, so it doesn't achieve what they think they're going to do.
OK, Simon Delaney, thank you very much. Good luck with it all, and maybe we'll speak again in the near future.
Lou makes a point saying she thinks this is aimed at the white working class heading out for a fag and a pint.
Potentially. Lots more to come in the next hour. Showbiz and, of course, the nostalgic snacks. We'll be back in just a tick, but here's your weather.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We're starting the weekend on a mostly fine note, some sunshine around, turning increasingly humid though as we go through the weekend, and an increasing chance too of some thundery downpours developing in places. High pressure starting to pull away towards the northeast of the UK. That's allowing this warm front to approach from the south. That's starting to increase the cloud across some southern parts of the UK as we head into the afternoon. At this stage, a very slim chance of a shower, but most places staying fine. Certainly the sunniest weather the further north and west you go. And in the sunshine, feeling pleasantly warm, temperatures into the high teens, locally it's the low 20s Celsius, perhaps peaking towards the southeast at 22 or 23 Celsius. 23 there in London is 73 in Fahrenheit, although there will be a bit of a breeze across the south, taking the edge off of those temperatures. As we head into the latter stages of the afternoon then, plenty of sunshine to end the day across the north of the UK, just the odd patch of fair weather cloud in places, but on the whole, almost wall-to-wall sunshine across much of Scotland and indeed further south into parts of Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still into the high teens, so still feeling pleasantly warm at this stage of the day as well. Further south though into England and Wales, we start to see more in the way of clouds starting to feed up from the south. Again, a small chance at this stage of shower, but most places will end the day fine, still some sunshine around and still pleasantly warm despite the breeze here. As we go through the evening and overnight, the cloud will start to increase more bodily from the south, pushing northwards, certainly across England and Wales, increasing chance of some showers, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night. Here they could be locally heavy and thundery in nature. Clearer spells out towards the north and northwest across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Taking a bit chilly here, certainly in some rural spots into single figures, but increasingly muggy and humid across the south of the UK. Temperatures here holding up in the high teens, so quite a warm picture here to start the day on Sunday. On the whole, Sunday looks cloudier than it is today, an increasing chance of some showers breaking out, particularly across central, southern parts of England, and later too across parts of northern England into the afternoon. Could be some thunderstorms in places, giving a few problems in places. The best of the weather, generally with the best of the sunshine towards the north and west, and temperatures on the warm side towards the southeast.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a £36,000 secret salary in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's like having £3,000 each month for an entire year. Extra cash in your bank account that you can do whatever you like with. Take a year off and keep it to yourself. You don't even need to tell the taxman, as it's totally tax-free. For a chance to win £36,000 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2, or post your name and number to GB08 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 25th of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it? Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together and what have we got, in my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, I'm Ellie Costello alongside Ben Leo, and this is Saturday Morning Live.
Great to have your company. Hope you're well this morning, and we have an action-packed second hour in store. All of the day's top stories with Alex Cairns and Candice Holdsworth.
Tomorrow starts Friendship Month.
Oh,
Isn't that nice? Well, we'll be speaking to Jane Nelson, different Nelson this time, to explain why it's so important for over 50s to forge friendships later in life.
Yeah, important conversation.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, 9 in 10 Brits say certain childhood foods evoke nostalgic feelings. So we want to know which generational meal is your favourite. Chef Hannah Harley-Young will be here to share some blasts from the past.
I've been thinking about this, nostalgic childhood foods, and I want to add the potato smiley faces to the
Oh,
list.
yeah. We still have those now.
Do we?
Yeah. The kids have them.
Oh, do they? Do they like them?
Yeah, and
love
sorry,
those.
Jamie Oliver, but turkey twizzlers, I know they're probably not too great, but they're still doing the rounds as
Are
well.
they?
Yeah.
So you're across all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Keep them coming in. We've had loads, and it's been so fun to read through them all. gbnews.com/yoursay.
Two very quick questions from viewers.
Yeah.
Do you like timeless fashion?
Trying.
And vintage? Do you
Trying.
go to charity shops? One person asked.
Do you know what? I am starting to buy on second-hand websites like Vinted.
Yeah.
Check it out. So I've been buying, second-hand vintage stuff.
And also, what was the other question? Where's your dress from today?
ASOS. Or ASOS.
ASOS.
as you would say.
Yeah. All right, there you go. There's your questions answered.
Thank you very much. Now, Sam Francis, God love him, has put trousers on because we embarrassed him last time.
Thank God.
But here he is with all your news headlines.
Ellie, Ben, thank you very much, and good morning to you. Just coming up to 2 minutes past 11. We'll start this out with just a breaking line coming to us from Gloucestershire that a 77-year-old man has reportedly been arrested on suspicion of murder after a woman was found dead there. Officers in Cheltenham were called to a house in the early hours of this morning, where they sadly found a 66-year-old woman with serious injuries, and she died at the scene. So that latest line coming to us from Gloucestershire, a 77-year-old man arrested on suspicion of murder. In other news, Oasis fans have been complaining today after websites have crashed in the scramble for tickets in the last few hours. The reunited band are set to play 17 concerts in the UK and in Ireland next summer. But the group's warned that tickets resold at inflated prices will be cancelled. Some seats originally sold last night during early access are now being resold for over £6,000. Police in the West Midlands are actively investigating the fatal stabbing of a 13-year-old boy. A murder inquiry's been launched following that tragic incident in Oldbury on Thursday, though no arrests have been made so far. The West Midlands Force have assured the public that those responsible will be brought to justice. Chief Superintendent Kim Medill is urging residents in the area to come forward with any information.
And we are following active lines of inquiry to find the suspects. We know that the incident took place inside his home, and I would appeal to anyone who has information to come forward. We have local officers and youth workers in the area over the coming days, so please speak to them directly if you have any concerns or information that you would like to pass to us.
Travellers at Heathrow are facing disruption as Border Force staff go on strike today. Around 650 members of the PCS union have walked out in protest over rota disputes, with that strike lasting 4 days. Further disruptions also expected from Wednesday next week as workers refuse to do overtime, leading to an overtime ban from September the 4th. Well, despite those escalating disputes, the Home Office has said it is committed to continuing the conversation to resolve the dispute. A newly elected Labour MP has issued a public apology over reports of serious faults in some of the London rental properties that he owns. Jazz Athwell, who represents Ilford South, owns 15 flats where tenants have complained about black mould and ant infestations, among other complaints. He says he's shocked at the reports and has vowed to take immediate action to address the issues. Mental health experts are warning a surge in high street cosmetic treatments could spark a public health crisis. The number of high street beauty salons offering cosmetic treatments has jumped by 31% across the UK in just the last 5 years. The easy access to procedures like Botox and fillers is raising concerns, particularly as vulnerable young people turn to quick fix treatments. Turning to news overseas, and fighting is set to pause in Gaza tomorrow as part of a plan to roll out polio vaccines to hundreds of thousands of children there. The scheme will be staggered during breaks in the conflict over 3 days. Last week, health officials confirmed that a baby had been paralysed by the virus in the first such case in the territory for 25 years. And in Brazil, the social media platform X has been banned after a long-standing disinformation row there. The move follows a feud between Elon Musk and the Brazilian Supreme Court over a failure to block accounts accused of spreading fake news and hate. In response, Elon Musk posted on X last night calling the move an attack on the #1 source of truth. And could teacherless classrooms be the future of education? Well, a class of 20 GCSE students at one London school are set to spend the year learning from AI. The bots will personalise lessons, identifying areas where students may need more help. But head teachers say that education shouldn't be taken out of educators' hands. David Game College says the trial will, though, be closely monitored to assess the impact on student learning outcomes. Those are the latest headlines for now. I'm Sam Francis, back with you for another update in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Live. I've just put a picture of Sam Francis on my Instagram story in his shorts, if you did want to check that out.
Oh, so we can.
He's not happy.
Very good.
Yes, very good.
There's been some comments about nostalgic foods. Joe, good morning. You said you guys are probably too young to remember, but Wham bars, I remember them. Do you remember them?
Remind me what a Wham bar is.
Very chewy, sweet, kind of like a sherbet
They're
bar.
pink.
Yeah, and they've got
Yes, I
little
do
bits
remember
inside
them, yes.
Put crystal kind of things inside them. Very amazing. Love it.
Yes, that's a good one. And somebody messaged in about a treacle pudding. Yes, Steve. Morning to you, Steve. Says this is generational food, but my favourite is my mum's treacle pudding. I love a treacle pudding.
Yes.
Especially in a pub.
Custard
after
or ice
Sunday
cream?
lunch. Always ice cream. I like the mix
Yeah.
between hot and cold.
I'm with you.
Oh, we've got that in common.
I'm with
That's
you,
nice,
yeah.
yeah. Custard is usually what people go for, because I saw a recipe last night that I really want to try for a crumble with custard, homemade custard.
Hang on a minute.
Yum.
You've reminded me. Last time we were on air together, you said you were going to bake me some birthday treats.
Yes, but then last time we were on air together, you also said you weren't going to be here today.
Yes.
Remember?
I did. So you didn't do it.
Stay tuned
Next week?
to the end of the hour.
Next week?
Maybe.
Yeah. All right.
Actually, I'm not here next week. Week after. Now, let's talk about the top story of the day, because unless you've been living under a rock, Oasis are back together and they're going on tour. And this morning, the tickets were released and it was described as a Ticketmaster bloodbath. Have you ever heard that before?
No, but I can imagine. An estimated 14 million people are trying to get the tickets. And Noel and Liam Gallagher, of course, announced the reunion tour on Tuesday. And that followed 15 years of pretty entertaining at times, but also quite serious feuding.
Between the brothers, yes. We heard earlier there were about 1 million tickets up for grabs. So you've got a 1 in 14 chance.
Nice.
If there's
quite short odds, really.
In there. It's not looking good, is it? But Oasis have also been warning fans against reselling the pre-sale tickets that have gone out this week. Some of those pre-sale tickets now reselling on platforms up to £4,000. Oasis have tweeted, or X'd, I guess is what you call it now, posted on X, saying, "We have noticed that people are attempting to sell tickets on the secondary market since the start of the pre-sale. Please note, tickets can only be resold at face value by Ticketmaster and Twickets. Tickets sold in breach of the terms and conditions will be cancelled by the promoters."
Joining us now to tell us more is consumer champion, the complaining cow.
Oh.
That's her description, not mine. Helen Judney. Morning, Helen. This sounds like a bit of a... bloodbath is the best way to put it. I mean, people are going to be lucky to get their hands on tickets, aren't they, for this reunion tour?
Absolutely. I think you said it there, 1 in 14 chance. So I think, it's pure chance as to whether you're going to get those tickets, but please don't buy them at these inflated prices because you're not going to get in.
Helen, it does seem as though Oasis are taking this very seriously. They've seen these pre-sale tickets be picked up very, very quickly, go onto those resale sites. We were looking at tickets this morning for up to £10,000 now. I mean, something has to be done about this. It's blatant profiteering, isn't it?
It is, and also it's just the fact that I think bots have been buying up these tickets, and so then they're able to resell them on these sites. I think we need more sort of education for people to say don't buy these, because at least Oasis are saying that they're doing their best to try and stop this, and they were even saying this before the tickets went on sale as well. That you cannot buy them like this, and also to be careful of the scams as well, because we will start seeing them being sold on social media, and they'll try and sell them for the face value, but they won't actually exist.
Yeah, I've mentioned it a few times in the recent weeks. I got scammed for Arsenal tickets the other week on Twitter. Or it was the other month, actually. I lost about, was it 400 or 500 quid?
You're very obsessed about it.
So, yeah, still haven't got my money back. What's the consumers' rights in that situation? Barclays said to me that they'll look into it, but I've heard nothing since, and it's been months, I think.
Well, the advice when you buy tickets, when they're over £100, always credit card, because then you've got Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act that will cover you. So that makes the bank equally liable. So if there is something that goes wrong, or that you don't get your purchase of any kind that you've paid for on the credit card, you will get the money back. If you have used a bank card, there is something that's called chargeback. Now, that's a voluntary scheme, so the banks don't have to do it, but they might well give it back to you on the chargeback. And also, if you don't get any joy with your bank, you can take the matter to the Financial Ombudsman.
Yeah, I did a schoolboy error. I did a straight bank transfer because I was so excited to get the tickets. Helen, can I ask why...
She's not happy with you.
No, silly Ben.
Head in her hands.
Can I ask why you're called the complaining cow? I love the title.
It's my brand. About 12, 13, 14 years ago, I started a blog as a hobby, and I just put on Facebook, what shall I call it? I'm just going to start with stories about getting refunds and stuff. And a couple of people said, get the complaining cow. There were a couple of other things, put it out to a poll, and the complaining cow won, and it all sort of grew from there into a business.
Oh, I think it's great, Helen, really, really good. And we need all the help we can get, because there are so many scams out there. There are so many people looking to profiteer, as we say. What about people who have been so desperate and so excited by this Oasis reunion that they did go on these resale websites this week? They did spend thousands of pounds on these tickets, and now we've got a tweet out from Oasis saying, look, these could be cancelled by the promoters. Do they have any rights because they've got those tickets?
They won't, really. They can try. Again, if they've paid by credit card, they can try the credit card company, because they could argue that it's a scam, and that because they can't use them, and the people who were selling them knew they wouldn't be able to use them. So that's really your only option, because these people rely on the vulnerability of people being, I can get it, I can get the ticket, and they rely on that. And so people do fall for these traps, and it's going to be very difficult to get any money back.
OK. Helen, you complaining cow? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Helen. Really, really good advice.
You're a
as well.
massive Taylor Swift fan. I just remembered my friend got scammed for Taylor Swift
Oh, there's
tickets.
lots of that going on, yeah.
I think she transferred 600 quid to somebody who had resold genuine tickets before and just got bumped,
Yeah, and people are vulnerable. I mean, even with your Arsenal tickets, it's excitable people who are just so excited and desperate to get their hands on these tickets that they're so excited for.
Control
and they'll pay
yourselves.
anything, and they'll move very quickly on it. So just be really careful. If you're looking for Oasis tickets today, don't go onto those second sale sites and platforms. Do try and stick in the queue. I know lots of people are still in the queue today. And anecdotally, on the Taylor Swift topic, I did manage to get last-minute tickets for Taylor Swift's last show. Might have mentioned it once.
You went twice, didn't you?
I did. I'm a big Swiftie. But a friend actually works in the music industry, so she managed to get some tickets. Thank you, Phoebe. But we went on a second-hand site just to see how much they would be going for if we wanted to go on a second-hand site. And they were going for over £2,000.
Oh, my gosh.
And at face value, they're about 150.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's just profiteering.
So
isn't it?
key tips from Helen there. Don't do a bank transfer like me because you won't have any luck. Pay with a credit card if you can. And what was
And
your...
don't use these second-hand sites. Don't touch them because those tickets might get cancelled. Thanks, Helen. Really helpful.
Thanks, Helen. Right, now to look through the rest of the stories today. We're delighted to be joined by Alex Cairns and Candice Holdsworth. Welcome back, you two.
Welcome back.
Shall we start with, in the Times, smartphones may harm young people. Should they be banned? It's seeming like an age-old debate now, this, isn't it? Yeah. Should they be banned? 1 in 5 children aged 3 or 4. That's unbelievable.
No,
hang on a minute.
That's shocking. Yeah.
Let me read this so I'm clear. 1 in 5 children aged 3 or 4 have their own mobile, and by 11, 9 out of 10 do.
No. Really?
But that's bizarre, because anyone who has children of that age would know that they just lose it or break it. I mean, I've had 2 mobile phones that my children have picked up and just thrown in the air.
Wow.
So why would you give them their own one?
Well, these are figures according to Ofcom, but it pretty much shows that most children now have access to a smartphone with access to the internet. How does that make you both feel? Candice, you're a mother. How does that make you feel?
It depends on the age. I mean, you know, I think around 12, 13, they start pressurising you because their friends have all got one. And I think that's the way children connect now, because children have a lot less freedom. We know that. We know that parents are a lot more protective these days, so they're not necessarily going out and hanging out with their friends in the same way we did. They connect online. So I think, with all the stuff around Kirsty Allsop this week, letting her son have more freedom, I think one of the ways to counteract them always being on the internet is to let them have those real-world experiences, those real-life experiences, because they're so much richer and they will prefer them to interacting through social media.
The real world is so scary, though, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the uproar with Kirsty Allsop is a 15-year-old boy in today's world is not the same as a 15-year-old boy in the 70s and 80s. I mean, there seems to be more danger out there in today's world. And then you've got the online world, which is incredibly dark. There's nowhere safe for children, it would seem, Alex.
Yeah, no, I think you know, this debate is going to go on for a long time, right? Because it's very difficult to get to some conclusion, because it's about personal choices, right? Some parents, you know, in my family, I didn't have a smartphone till I was much older. And actually, I think, in a way, that's probably a good thing. You know, I was always out and about. I joined a football team, you know, and I think it's down to personal choices. The worry with this, though, is actually sometimes children feel like they're missing out because if their friends have it, they don't want to be teased and bullied about, you know, not having it. You know, some people say, oh, you can't afford a smartphone, and actually it almost becomes an issue that they don't have one, you know? So you have to find that sweet spot. What I would say about this story is a lot of young children that are 5, 6, they have it to play games. You know, parents need, I'm not a parent, right? But, you know, I see lots of parents that need a break, that just put their child in the corner and they have an iPad or a phone and they're playing games on there, right? It can be controlled and be a good thing as opposed to being a negative where they think they're going to do things on the phone. They don't know what they're doing. They're normally just playing a game, right?
What are you going to do with your children? Because they're very young right now, but I can see you're stressed about this.
Yeah.
He's stressed.
The thing is that I've got a dilemma because I grew up playing video games on a PC and I was from a quite young age, maybe 9, 10 onwards. But in today's modern... I mean, I don't want my kids using the internet. I know what the internet's like now. It wasn't this fresh new venture when I first logged onto the internet at maybe mid-90s. Now it's, as you said, it can be pretty dark pretty quickly. And I don't know, but Alex makes a good point. You're going to get kids at school who bully your child for not having a phone. Then maybe they'll be excluded from social groups and WhatsApp groups. But the other point as well is, when you used to get bullied at school, I don't know if you ever got bullied, but I mean, everyone in my school got bullied. You all got stick, just part and parcel of school. But when you got bullied, it would be confined to the school and you'd go home and that would be your refuge. But these days, I know from young family members, there's WhatsApp groups where they get added to, they get bullied, there's images doing the rounds. It's a completely different world from when I was a kid, and I'm sure many of our viewers as well.
It is. It's so difficult for those of us, although we're sort of hybrid, right? Parents like millennials. We sort of grew up in a partly digital, partly analogue world. So we're kind of like, how do you navigate this? And I think that's one of the things that people always pick up on, is that if you had problems at school, they didn't follow you home, whereas now they do. But I think the problem is we're trying to apply what we learned as youngsters to how children live today, but maybe we need to allow them to learn to navigate that world, because that's going to be the future, and they have to figure that out for themselves.
It's such a complicated language to even teach a child, though. It's like online safety and what to look for, and who you should be allowing to follow you and who you shouldn't be following, and what pages you should be accessing, which pages you shouldn't. I mean, it's complex.
They do. The thing is, though, one thing I would say, though, is that there's a lot of positive. Like my 5-year-old has gotten very into following online drawing tutorials, and he loves it, and he's really good at it. And I thought, wow, they have that opportunity now. It's like a personal art teacher on the computer.
There are benefits, aren't there?
Yes, there are. There are. I think that's the age we live in, though. We sort of think about the threats more than we do about the positives. It's different. Different generations view things differently. Maybe our children will be like, be free, because they felt very suffocated.
I think the media always talk about the negatives of social media, about having a phone. Let's remember, right, a lot of young people, they use it for positive things as well, you know. Lots of them that want to start a business, they look at lots of, you know, young entrepreneurs that without having a phone, without having social media, how would they do that, right? You know, lots of football teams, they raise money for their football team to get a new goal, to go on this trip. You know, there's lots of positives, and I think the media responsibility to talk about the good and bad parts of having it, not just double down always about the negatives, you know, because that's not helpful. And actually, there's lots of positives about having smartphones.
So many of you are getting in touch on this one. TC says, my daughter was 13 before she got her first mobile phone, and she doesn't have any use of social media on that phone. But a friend of ours has just let their 6-year-old have one. We're living in crazy times.
I mean, what's a 6-year-old going to be doing on a smartphone?
Well,
playing games.
Yeah, playing games. And like, if the parent is giving a 6-year-old and then they're going on Google and typing in stuff, all right, that actually shouldn't happen. But realistically, I mean, what they're going to know at 6, they're probably going to be searching for their game. I promise you, a vast majority of people that have a child on a smartphone, an iPad at that age, they are just trying to occupy them, and they are on games, you know?
Life seemed a lot more fun as a kid when you didn't know where your friends were. If you wanted to find your friends, you'd call the landline. The mum would say, no, they're not in. So you'd say, oh, where are they?
Go down the park.
You go down the park. Oh, no, they're not there. Go down the beach. Are they there? No. Are they outside McDonald's? No. And you spend half the day trying to find them, and then you find them, and yes.
Look for all the bikes. That's how it was when I was a teenager. It was like, and they'd all be piled in front of someone's driveway, and you're like, that's where everyone is.
Yeah.
Happier times.
Do keep those views coming in. Got loads of you talking on that one. gbnews.com/you'll say. Candice, let's have a look at the Daily Telegraph, shall we? Because this is... If you ever go to West London, it's not actually very far from where we're sat right now, you will see Grenfell.
Yes.
Won't you?
Yes.
And it is so ominous to look at. It's still there, still wrapped in that green heart, which is around to protect it. It's costing the taxpayer a fortune, isn't it, to keep Grenfell standing?
Yes, millions to actually keep it standing. I mean, there's still a lot of conflict about how we should memorialise this very tragic event. I mean, there's still no answers forthcoming as to what actually happened. I mean, the Daily Telegraph has also ran a couple of stories about how everyone's trying to apportion blame. I mean, the inquiry's been going on for years and years and years. I'm not sure that we should have this burnt-out building as a memorial, personally. I think maybe we should look at something like with the King's Cross Memorial, which I think is a very beautiful tribute to those victims who died in the fire. You know, like strings of light, something like that, memorial garden, a more peaceful way of remembering them rather than that burnt-out building, because when I've driven past, it's haunting.
Do you think on the sites, though, you know how the Twin Towers, you had Ground Zero, do you think on the actual site or away from the site?
No, on the site, I think, yeah, I do.
£340 million it has cost to the taxpayer. This is in the official report into the disaster. And this has been since June 2017. What do you make of it, Alex?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one because obviously, you know, the families are actually the people here that have wanted that building to remain. You know, they have a real, you know, symbolic kind of affiliation with it, and obviously feel that the inquiry is still ongoing, and until it's come to its conclusion, they don't want anything to be done to the building. Having said that, I do appreciate what you're saying, because when I go past it, a lot of people do feel quite sad about what happened, and I actually think that it's a very, especially at night, the way that it's lit up, it's very, upsetting to see, and I don't think it's helpful for people that live around the community to constantly be reminded about what happened. So I think it's a difficult one, but the wider point here about cladding, it's an absolutely scandalous situation. I mean, even, I think it was last week, the week before, there was another fire in East London. I think there was a fire near here as well that happened recently. They need to sort out buildings that have cladding ASAP, because we can't have any more innocent lives that are taken because we have greedy property developers that have not decided to sort it out. It's a scandalous situation, and it can't be allowed to happen anymore.
And I've spoken to survivors of Grenfell who say exactly that. They say they don't want the building to be brought down yet, because it serves as a reminder that the cladding scandal is still very much going on. There are people living in dangerous buildings that are not fit for habitation.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think about that one, gbnews.com/you'll say. And let's have a look at this one, shall we, Alex? This is William and Harry, the princes, didn't share a word at their uncle's funeral. This in the Daily Mail.
Yeah, so the whole situation between William and Harry is very, very difficult, because William, will become king one day. He's someone that obviously takes his responsibility really, really seriously. He obviously is quite upset about the choices that Harry has made around talking about the negative side of the royal family. He probably doesn't agree with how public Harry's been criticising his own family. The thing that really upsets me, having my own brother, is I couldn't think of any situation where I would want to fall out with my brother. After Diana passed away, lots of people said that the bond between those two brothers was what actually got them through a very difficult time. And I feel very upset that constantly, and I think the media have got a part to play here, the media have decided for their own gain to spell this whole thing out like it's a reality TV show, and The Crown hasn't helped either, basically trying to put them, together, put them against each other, and I think it's very upsetting. These two are brothers, and I think most of the public want them to come back together.
I think it makes people very, very sad, especially when they think about their late mother and how she would feel seeing her sons like
feel
this.
upset about it, yeah.
Alex, Candice, it's been really good to see you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you both.
Thanks, guys.
Right, coming up next, did you know that making new friends can help boost your energy? Well, our next guest has the stats to prove it. Back in 3.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Is it time that we actually stop paying for royal security full stop? Is it right that taxpayers fund the security of everyone from Queen Camilla to Prince William? Because there's lots of commentary that perhaps Prince Andrew having his security removed is sort of a first step towards trying to get him out of Royal Lodge.
Well, I mean, that's what King Charles is hoping to try and do, is to sort of try and subtly strong-arm him out of Royal Lodge and into another property, which happens to be Harry and Meghan's old house, Frogmore Cottage. He's resisting, shall we say, any attempts by the King to actually go of his own accord. He says he signed a lease. He says the lease is cast iron, and that's where he's staying. So the King says, OK, he's taken away his security. He believes he doesn't need to have this round-the-clock 24-hour protection. The only security, really, that the taxpayer should be paying for, the King believes, is just himself, Queen Camilla, and the Prince and Princess of Wales, because obviously they are the heirs.
But they are billionaires, aren't they? I mean, they could afford... Isn't Prince William a billionaire? He could afford his own security. Is there a legitimate question about whether or not the British taxpayer should be... The only reason I ask is because, you look at what Harry and Meghan are up to. They've just been to Colombia, presumably footed the bill themselves, or maybe Colombia did.
No, I think Colombia invited them.
OK.
They ended up, well, Prince Harry, shall I say, ended up costing us, the taxpayer, over $1 million in Home Office legal fees with that silly case that he brought, demanding that we do pay for police protection for him. So, I mean, he's not a good example. But do they deserve it? Yes, of course they do. It's the king, and they generate, I mean, 80% of the income that they generate goes back into our coffers, goes back into the treasury.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. 11:28, Ben and Ellie with you on Saturday Morning Live. Now, having good friends can bring positive energy, and that's according to research that's found more than half of people aged 50 and over feel happier from having a friendship, and 46% feel a sense of belonging too. Tomorrow is the start of Friendship Month. The Oddfellows, a non-profit friendly society that provides older adults with opportunities to create new friendships, is now inviting more people this September to join their local groups and expand their friendship circles through giving a taster activity at local community centres. We're joined now by Jane Nelson, who's the CEO of Oddfellows. Good morning, Jane. Thanks for joining us. Such an important topic. It sounds maybe trivial on the surface, but actually loneliness is a pretty serious problem in the older generations. And as someone in my mid-30s, I've even noticed as well that my own friendship group has diminished over the years as kind of, you know, people get married and have kids and they kind of drift apart and don't make time for each other.
Absolutely, and I think loneliness is key for so many people, and that's what we try at Oddfellows to combat by offering such a wide range of social events across the country for people to dip in and out of, because friendship is really important to us as individuals and important for our mental health as well. So being happy and having a good time with friends and people we like is really, really important for everyone.
And Ben just alluded to it there. People, especially when they get into their 30s and 40s, they're focusing on their own families, aren't they? They're focusing on their children, their other halves. How important is it to have friends separate to your family? What benefit does that bring you?
I think it brings you that wider spectrum, doesn't it? But you're right. I mean, people in the 30s are bringing up the children, they're doing basketball, swimming and everything else. And family is really, really important. But to keep in contact with your friends, because as you do get older, you do lose friends for a variety of reasons. Either you lose touch or they have an illness or they pass away as you get older. And actually widening out that circle so that you can increase that number of friendships is really important, because the stats show that people love spending time with their friends.
Yeah, my wife says all the time, she encourages me to text my friends and make dates and organise things and, you know, be the one who's proactive. Is that a good tip to kind of get things going, especially if your friends maybe aren't that way inclined, that proactive?
Yeah, I think it always takes somebody, doesn't it? Somebody's got to make that first step to send a text to say, do you fancy meeting up for coffee, or do you fancy going to the pub, or whatever the arrangement's going to be. But sometimes somebody always has to make that first step and text or phone. And I think the other key thing is it usually tends to be the same person, but that doesn't matter as long as that connectivity is made, because that's what you need. You need the connectivity.
So, Jane, what's your advice then for people who are watching and listening? Perhaps they're over 50, they want to make new friends. What would your advice be to them?
Be brave. If you think about when we were children, we'd go around the playground and say, will you be my friend? Well, we don't tend to do that as we get older. But be brave. Look on Oddfellows' website, see all the amazing events we've got on. Go to see what's going on in your area. Go along. If you're nervous about going into a room full of people you don't know, make contact with the person who's organising the event in advance. They'll meet you outside. And just, you know, there's so many opportunities and so many different events for people to go along, have a good time and hopefully make some friends in the process. And where can people find out more about Oddfellows, Jane? So oddfellows.co.uk, or you can telephone 0800 028 1810, and our team will be more than happy to point them in the right direction of their local events, and there's so much going on. And you've got meets in sort of village halls, community centres where people could go, yeah? We are all over the place, yes. Okay. So there'll be an event close to them. Jane, and there's over 300 going on. and lots of events.
Wow, great stuff. Jane, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and really important to talk about. I think a really important topic that we don't touch on enough.
Yeah.
Is loneliness as you get older. Get in touch if that's something you can relate to. gbnews.com/you'll say. Let's get the news headlines now with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you. Just after 11:30, a look at the top stories from the newsroom this hour. And a 77-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a woman was found dead in Gloucestershire. Officers were called to a house in Fairfield Road in Cheltenham in the early hours of this morning, where they sadly found a 66-year-old woman with serious injuries who died at the scene. Oasis fans have been struggling to land tickets this morning for reunion gigs, with reports of website outages, glitches and long waits. The band are set to play 17 concerts in the UK and Ireland next summer, but the group has also warned that tickets resold at inflated prices will be cancelled. Some seats originally sold last night during early access are now being resold for over £6,000. Police in the West Midlands are actively investigating the fatal stabbing of a 13-year-old boy. A murder inquiry has been launched following the tragic incident in Oldbury on Thursday, though no arrests have been made so far. The West Midlands Force have assured the public that those responsible will be brought to justice. Turning to news from Germany now, and a 32-year-old woman has been arrested there after 6 people were injured in the second knife attack in just weeks in the country, this time on a bus heading to a festival last night. 3 of those attacked in the incident are in a life-threatening condition, and another 3 have been discharged from hospital. German authorities say there is no evidence at this stage of a political or a religious motive. Fighting is set to pause in Gaza tomorrow as part of a plan to roll out polio vaccines to hundreds of thousands of children. The scheme will be staggered during breaks in the conflict over 3 days. It comes after last week health officials there confirmed that a baby had been paralysed by the virus, in the first such case in the territory in 25 years. And teacherless classrooms with pupils being taught by AI are being trialled at a London school this year. A class of 20 GCSE students at David Game College will spend the year learning from bots. The school says the tech will help pinpoint the areas that pupils may need help with, but head teachers have warned that education shouldn't be taken out of educators' hands. Those are the latest headlines for now. I'll be back with you for your next update at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We're starting the weekend on a mostly fine note, some sunshine around, turning increasingly humid though as we go through the weekend, and an increasing chance too of some thundery downpours developing in places. High pressure starting to pull away towards the northeast of the UK. That's allowing this warm front to approach from the south. That's starting to increase the cloud across some southern parts of the UK as we head into the afternoon. At this stage, a very slim chance of a shower, but most places staying fine. Certainly the sunniest weather the further north and west you go. And in the sunshine, feeling pleasantly warm, temperatures into the high teens, locally it's the low 20s Celsius, perhaps peaking towards the southeast at 22 or 23 Celsius. 23 there in London is 73 in Fahrenheit, although there will be a bit of a breeze across the south, taking the edge off of those temperatures. As we head into the latter stages of the afternoon then, plenty of sunshine to end the day across the north of the UK, just the odd patch of fair weather cloud in places, but on the whole, almost wall-to-wall sunshine across much of Scotland and indeed further south into parts of Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still into the high teens, so still feeling pleasantly warm at this stage of the day as well. Further south though into England and Wales, we start to see more in the way of clouds starting to feed up from the south. Again, a small chance at this stage of shower, but most places will end the day fine, still some sunshine around and still pleasantly warm despite the breeze here. As we go through the evening and overnight, the cloud will start to increase more bodily from the south, pushing northwards, certainly across England and Wales, increasing chance of some showers, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night. Here they could be locally heavy and thundery in nature. Clearer spells out towards the north and northwest across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Taking a bit chilly here, certainly in some rural spots into single figures, but increasingly muggy and humid across the south of the UK. Temperatures here holding up in the high teens, so quite a warm picture here to start the day on Sunday. On the whole, Sunday looks cloudier than it is today, an increasing chance of some showers breaking out, particularly across central, southern parts of England, and later too across parts of northern England into the afternoon. Could be some thunderstorms in places, giving a few problems in places. The best of the weather, generally with the best of the sunshine towards the north and west, and temperatures on the warm side towards the southeast.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth,
it's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Back to Saturday Morning Live with Ben and Ellie, and we're also joined by showbiz extraordinaire Stephanie Tecchi with the latest.
Good morning.
What's going on?
It's been all Oasis fever this week. You cannot hide from it. You can't run away from it. If you don't like Oasis, then I feel sorry for you because
our viewers are a bit torn, Steph.
Yeah,
How do you feel about it?
I think it's exciting in a sense. Like the media have been speaking about this reunion for so many years now, and I thought it's actually not going to happen. So when they announced it this week, I was like, okay. It's good. People are saying it's more of a money thing for the brothers because, look, their tour is set to make about £430 million. So that is a lot of money. So I think money is the inspiration here. But I think for a lot of fans, it's bringing back nostalgia. You know, they've got so many classic hits. Even if you know 1 or 2 Oasis hits, it's enough to get you excited about these reunion tours. So it did come out this morning, these tickets. There was about 1.4 million tickets available. And this morning on Ticketmaster, they had up to 14 million people queuing for a ticket. So you can imagine, can you imagine not many people are happy at the moment, but I can imagine that they will be putting more tour dates because they're set to do London, Manchester, Dublin and Edinburgh. So I think because there's been such a big demand for it, there will be more dates to come.
Will the brothers make it through the tour, do you think, Steph? Because that's what worries me. People spending all this money on tickets and the truce might not hold.
Well, you know what they say, Ellie, money talks. So I think if they know the money that's involved with this tour, I think they're going to have to bury the hatchet, which is why they've come together in the first place. And I think once they do get back on stage and they see that reception, I think the music is going to sell for itself. I don't think they need to be the best of friends, but I know that they will want to please fans.
And I think Noel needs 20 million quid for his divorce.
He does. So divorces are quite pricey. So, hey, if you need to get on stage with your brother you don't like, make it happen for us.
Married, eh? Why get married?
Don't say that.
No, it's a good thing. Things don't work out sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. What else? What's going with Love Island?
Well, at the moment, a damaging report came out that basically there's been this dramatic increase of young girls going for cosmetic surgery, and it's mostly because of what they're seeing on Love Island from the contestants. So they're now calling it the Love Island look. And a lot of salons now are putting a lot of, like, surgeries, Botox, fillers. It's all coming in due to Love Island. And there's this thing where people are saying, how can one show really influence young girls like that? But that is the power of Love Island. And I think they call it the Love Island look because you've got girls with the full lips, the cheeks and all the rest. And it's like a lot of surgeons are actually saying, even if you do go for these kind of tweakments, as they call them, it actually makes you look older because the demographic for Love Island is between 18 and 24. And I think at that age, you're still blossoming into your look. So it's kind of quite sad. But then we talk about social media and the influence it has on young girls. It's quite powerful.
And there's so many teenage girls watching Love Island as well. I mean, like 12, 13-year-olds looking at these 24-year-olds thinking, oh, I want to
look like that. And their friends want to look like that. And as well, I think what people don't talk about is the pressure these contestants have when they're on these shows. Like, they have to have the right body, bikini, base figures, like really slim, and they have to look like almost flawless and airbrushed. So these contestants, once they're going on the show, they feel like they have to have the Love Island look, but it's quite sad.
Yeah, and I've seen lots of men getting like chest implants and chest implants.
Yeah, men are not, yeah.
Go to the gym, you lazy so-and-so. Anyway, what's going on? Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, it's been probably the most talked about film this week. It's making a comeback for the sequel. It came out in 1988, so a lot of our viewers might know the original, starring Michael Keaton. He reprises his role. They launched it in the Venice Film Festival earlier this week. They had the London film premiere as well this week. So it's one of those films where I think it will be a good one for autumn for people to see. And I think it's been directed by Tim Burton, who says that he's basically carrying the story on, but he says there's a lot of surprises in store.
So is it a kids' film?
I would say it's kids friendly. I would say it's probably from 12 upwards because it's about exorcism, so it could be quite scary in some bits. Yeah.
I watched a film on a plane the other day. We're running out of time. It's called The Pope's Exorcist. Which is the real thing. The Pope has an exorcist, and it was a very scary film, but it reminded me.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm a bit. I don't like horrors.
Bad energy.
Yeah.
Bad vibes. No bad vibes from News.
No, all good vibes and showbiz. Thank you, and you do, Mona Crim Sister.
I know we've gone for the same vibe, haven't we?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, coming up, we are going to be...
Our favourite story of the day.
Yeah, and there's going to be loads of food, nostalgic food, sweets, cakes, and etc. with Hannah Harley-Young from, what's the sexy...
Crazy Sexy Food podcast.
Sorry, Hannah. Yeah, Hannah Harley-Young is here with all her treats next. Don't go away.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
The Princess of Wales could be back to full duties by the autumn. This would be wonderful news.
Well, I actually don't think she is going to be back to full-time duties by the autumn. I think that's how I read it. But in fact, I think what they were saying, this is a report by the Daily Mail's royal editor, Rebecca English, is that Catherine is still recovering and she's still having treatment, but she doubts whether she'll be back to full-time duties, but we will be seeing her. So we will be, seeing her at big royal events, and she'll, if she's up to it, she will, appear now and then. But most of her work will be done from home because she's still having the cancer treatment. And as she said way back in the summer, she has good days and she has bad days.
Yeah, and we can all understand that, can't we? But it does make such a difference, doesn't it, to catch glimpses of her and seeing her and William this week congratulating the GB athletes after the success at the Olympics. It really does make all the difference just to see her, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And I think, she wants to get out there, but I don't think she's going to be back at the daily chore of royal duties, visiting hospitals, things like that. I don't think she'd be strong enough to do that. But, I mean, she looks terrific. We know she's had a brutal year, in fact, probably much, much worse than any of us can imagine. And so she's, doing what her doctors are telling her. She's taking it very gently. I'm sure she wants to go full steam ahead, but she is being restrained, as it were.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's our favourite time of the show where we get stuck into some nostalgic treats, and you've been sending your emails and comments in on your childhood favourites. Shane, you say, oh yeah, so we're talking about Spanish Gold coconut tobacco. I'd never heard of it. Had you?
Neither have I.
OK, well, Shane and many other people say, Ben, you've never heard of Spanish Gold coconut tobacco, a kid's favourite in the 70s. And Tina, you say, what about the old sweet cigarettes? All kids love them. Trying to copy their parents smoking, how the world has changed.
Darren says, 1970s school canteen, I just think about green custard and spotted dick.
Yes. I've got a weird sort of fondness for school puddings.
Yes.
They were rubbish quality, but they were so, like, sort of...
But why are they so good?
I know.
I like the old school cake, sponge cake with the sprinkles on the top.
Yeah. What's it called?
And I like the one with raspberry and then the coconut flakes on the top.
And not far, you say jobblies and blackjacks.
Yes, and Robert's been in touch saying, I always think about fish and chip shops. Saturday evening, sat in the kitchen, listening to the football results, and my mum serving up pork sausages, real ones from the butcher, then cooked in dripping an egg with a piece of bread and brown sauce. Fond memories of a long-gone era, says Robert. Do keep them coming in.
Love
but,
it.
of course, it does make us think about our childhoods, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tucking into a bowl of Angel Delight has been a treat for generations of children. I even like it now. I even have packets of it in the cupboard as we speak. But it has the power, doesn't it, to transport all of us back to those moments decades later. This is all in a new survey that's come out this week.
Yeah, it evokes many happy memories, and 9 in 10 Brits say certain foods evoke feelings of childhood nostalgia, with the mousse-like powdered dessert, Angel Delight, the most loved. Joining us now...
Surprised by that.
Yeah, what, Angel Delight?
I'm surprised it's number one. Yes, very surprised. Well, to talk us through all of this is creator of the Crazy Sexy Food podcast, Hannah Harley-Young. Morning.
Hi.
Morning.
I'm very excited.
No, I'm more excited by this table in front of us.
Can we get a shot of this table? I'm going to spend this whole segment eating all of this.
Yes.
I'm not even lying.
So this is in this survey, isn't it? So Brits were asked, what's the food that makes you think about your childhood? And you've brought some of your favourites in.
I've brought a selection of things that really define my childhood, particularly the Viennetta ice cream. And I have brought you some butterscotch Angel Delight.
Yay!
I'm going to expose myself live on camera and say that I've never tried Angel Delight.
Hannah?
I know. I don't know what that says about me. Would you like a spoon?
On. Yeah.
I made it fresh for you in the green room. It's an interesting texture. It's not the most attractive, but
I thought that was apple puree, actually. I'm so excited. Is it good? Here we go.
My goodness.
Did I make it okay?
Oh, yeah. But to be fair, Hannah, it's not that hard to make.
Well, I don't know. I got a bit confused with my milk measurements.
Oh, that is funny.
What is it, though? That's what's so funny about Angel Delight.
It's chemicals, isn't it? It's just chemicals in a bag.
I mean, it's a load of additives, which, I mean, one thing that's also really interesting about all these nostalgic foods when you look at them is that a lot of things have been discontinued over the years.
Oh, dear.
So it makes you wonder, how did this one kind of get through the cracks?
It is so fun, though. Do you know what? I just don't have the patience to put it in the fridge or make it... I mean, he's literally wolfing this down.
Look at that texture. Look at that texture, Hannah.
Oh, God, be careful, be careful.
It's not coming out.
It is.
There we go. Angel
That
Delight.
says a lot.
So Angel Delight came out number one, didn't it?
It did come out as number one. And also sort of in the top 5 was fish and chips, something I still eat today. Fish fingers, still a staple of my diet. Mr. Whippy, you know that sound of the ice cream truck coming along the street.
Somebody told me off air, I can't remember, they said Margaret Thatcher had a big part to play in designing Mr. Whippy ice creams.
Really?
Did she?
I haven't researched it, I don't know. Cambridge, apparently, in my ear. Google it. Margaret Thatcher, Mr. Whippy.
There we go. Love that.
But again, I think that it evokes the days out, doesn't it? I mean, here he goes now. What's this now?
So anyone who knows me, anyone who follows me, knows that a pickled onion Monster Munch is the be-all and end-all of my existence.
Oh, right.
I love pickled onion Monster Munch more than life itself, and it actually feels really happy to be saying this so publicly to the nation.
This is a great segment for you to be a part of, and you're having a wonderful time here, aren't you?
How do you feel about... OK.
It doesn't do it for me.
They're strong.
You're going to really smell now, aren't you?
But that's what I love about them. They ooze out of every pore of your skin. But there's just something very satisfying about them. This was also another real nostalgic sort of memory of my childhood, was hula hoops. Have you noticed how they've got bigger over the years?
One of the only things that has.
I used to put them on all of my fingers. And you'd like eat them all off.
Yep. Should we do that now?
Yep, go on, go for it.
So these evoke childhood memories for me because I think about my packed lunches.
Yes.
And I used to always ask for a little packet of crisps in my lunchbox, and hula hoops are my favourite because I do exactly
I haven't done
this.
this in years.
Brilliant.
Do you remember that?
I was about 11 the last
But
time
it
I did
really
this.
does show you how big they've got because they only used to really fit on
They
the
all
tops
fit
of
on my
my...
fingers now. Yeah, look at that. Love that. And then
What
you
do you
just do this.
Good.
Love hula hoops.
I actually, on my podcast, I had Ainsley Harriott on a couple of years ago, and the basis really of my podcast is about nostalgic food memories and talking about your life through food. And I said to him, what's your favourite flavour of crisps? And his was the hula hoops, and he actually did the motions of eating the hula hoops off his fingers. I mean, that is what everyone thinks of when
I love
they think of hula
the
hoops.
crunch and the texture of hula hoops.
Okay,
Right, jammy
a
dodgers.
jammy dodger.
A favourite of my boys and me.
Aww.
There you go.
I mean, these haven't really changed much over the years. Oh, wow, you did that all in one.
Just do that in one.
What?
You can put it away, my friend. You're having a great time, aren't you? The thing is, it's the power, isn't it, of food to absolutely just take us back to that time.
Yeah. In fact, in that same survey, they said that 95% of people find that a taste from their childhood will take them back more than looking at a photo. And that's something that's really interesting for me, and it's the basis of everything that I do, and the reason really why I set up Crazy Sexy Food, or one of the reasons, should I say, was that I love this concept of memories of food. You know, I've interviewed hundreds of people over the past 5 years, and when I get to that question, which is, talk to me about your childhood, talk to me about what you were eating as a child, what was on the table, you actually see their face relaxing, and there's something that it evokes emotion. And whether it's positive, negative, there's always something there that's so nostalgic about, my gosh, yeah, what was mum cooking? What was dad bringing home, you know, on the way back from work? And I just love it because I think it breaks down boundaries as well, in the sense that it doesn't matter who you are, we all love food, we need it.
It unites us, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Well, when I think of my childhood, I think of birthday parties, and I think of Colin the caterpillar cakes, and somebody on this sofa has just celebrated his birthday!
You got me one.
So happy birthday, Ben! I'm sorry I couldn't make you one.
No, you're very sweet.
But
Thank
very
you.
happy birthday to you. And this is the nostalgic cake of the 80s and 90s,
I mean, this is epic.
No, I love that. Thank you, Ellie. That's
You're
very sweet of you.
welcome.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday to you.
Happy birthday. And thank you so much, Hannah, for
Thank
coming
you.
in. So good to take a trip down memory lane with you with all of these nostalgic
Absolutely.
foods.
Thanks,
and thank
Hannah.
you so much to all of you at home for your company this week. We've had a lovely time, haven't we?
We'll be back next week, and Dawn Neeson is next. Have a lovely weekend. See you soon.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We're starting the weekend on a mostly fine note, some sunshine around, turning increasingly humid though as we go through the weekend, and an increasing chance too of some thundery downpours developing in places. High pressure starting to pull away towards the northeast of the UK. That's allowing this warm front to approach from the south. That's starting to increase the cloud across some southern parts of the UK as we head into the afternoon. At this stage, a very slim chance of a shower, but most places staying fine. Certainly the sunniest weather the further north and west you go. And in the sunshine, feeling pleasantly warm, temperatures into the high teens, locally it's the low 20s Celsius, perhaps peaking towards the southeast at 22 or 23 Celsius. 23 there in London is 73 in Fahrenheit, although there will be a bit of a breeze across the south, taking the edge off of those temperatures. As we head into the latter stages of the afternoon then, plenty of sunshine to end the day across the north of the UK, just the odd patch of fair weather cloud in places, but on the whole, almost wall-to-wall sunshine across much of Scotland and indeed further south into parts of Northern Ireland too. Temperatures still into the high teens, so still feeling pleasantly warm at this stage of the day as well. Further south though into England and Wales, we start to see more in the way of clouds starting to feed up from the south. Again, a small chance at this stage of shower, but most places will end the day fine, still some sunshine around and still pleasantly warm despite the breeze here. As we go through the evening and overnight, the cloud will start to increase more bodily from the south, pushing northwards, certainly across England and Wales, increasing chance of some showers, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night. Here they could be locally heavy and thundery in nature. Clearer spells out towards the north and northwest across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Turning a bit chilly here, certainly in some rural spots into single figures, but increasingly muggy and humid across the south of the UK. Temperatures here holding up in the high teens, so quite a warm picture here to start the day on Sunday. On the whole, Sunday looks cloudier than it is today, an increasing chance of some showers breaking out, particularly across central, southern parts of England, and later too across parts of northern England into the afternoon. Could be some thunderstorms in places, giving a few problems in places. The best of the weather, generally with the best of the sunshine towards the north and west, and temperatures on the warm side towards the southeast.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
How would you like an extra £3,000 in your bank account each month for an entire year? Well, it could be yours with our 30